And breaking news tonight in the murder case against the singer David.
David.
What's going on, squad? It's David here. About to tell
A teenager starts making music inside his sister's closet just so he can avoid copyright claims on Fortnite videos. A few years later, he's one of the fastest rising artists on the internet. Millions of fans, billions of streams, sold out shows. Everything seemed perfect until police made a discovery that would completely change how the world saw him. An abandoned Tesla, a missing 14-year-old girl, and allegations so disturbing they would shock even people who follow true crime for a living. Today we're breaking down the David Burke case, the rise to fame, the investigation, the evidence prosecutors say links him to the crime, and the allegations that turned an internet success story into one of the most talked about criminal cases in recent years. But before we get into the investigation, you need to understand how David became famous in the first place. Before the headlines, before the allegations, David Burke was known online for something completely different: music. Most people discovered him through songs that exploded on TikTok, but before any of that, he was making gaming content. Like thousands of teenagers at the time, he uploaded Fortnite montage videos and spent hours editing clips. Then he ran into a problem. The music he wanted to use kept getting copyrighted. So instead of searching for more songs, he started creating his own. At first, it wasn't about becoming famous. It was simply a practical solution. Record something original, use it in the videos, avoid copyright claims. But what happened next changed everything. One song started gaining traction, then another, then millions of people were listening. And almost overnight, David Burke became one of the internet's biggest success stories. At this point, his career looked unstoppable. His songs were everywhere. His audience was growing rapidly. And from the outside, it looked like he had everything. But according to investigators, something was happening behind the scenes that nobody knew about. And when police eventually uncovered it, the story took a horrifying turn. In September 2025, authorities in Los Angeles reportedly made a disturbing discovery. An abandoned Tesla had apparently been sitting untouched for weeks. Then, workers noticed a foul smell coming from inside the vehicle. When police searched it, they discovered decomposed human remains. And according to investigators, the vehicle was registered to David. The victim was later identified as 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. As soon as the news became public, the internet exploded. People genuinely couldn't believe one of the most viral young artists online was suddenly connected to a case this horrifying. But according to prosecutors, the worst details were still coming. In April 2026, David was officially arrested, and prosecutors announced a series of extremely serious charges. He pleaded not guilty. But as investigators continued presenting their case, even more allegations began to emerge. According to prosecutors, the case involved claims of an inappropriate relationship that allegedly began before the victim reached adulthood. Authorities further alleged that the motive behind the crime was connected to fears that information about the relationship could become public and damage his career. As more details were revealed in court, the allegations became increasingly disturbing. Prosecutors claimed that efforts were made to conceal evidence after the victim's death. Investigators also stated that forensic evidence allegedly connected the victim to a property associated with Burke. And during later court proceedings, prosecutors introduced additional allegations involving material discovered on electronic devices connected to the investigation. The claims shocked even people who closely follow major criminal cases, because this was no longer being viewed as just another controversy involving a public figure. It had become one of the most serious and widely discussed criminal cases connected to a modern music artist in recent years. And as the legal process continues, the case remains far from over. The internet reaction was immediate. A lot of fans were horrified. Many people who once supported David started deleting his music from playlists and social media pages. Others refused to believe the accusations were true. Online debates exploded everywhere: TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, YouTube. Some people pointed out that allegations are not convictions. Others argued the evidence prosecutors described sounded overwhelming. Meanwhile, fans began looking back at old lyrics and visuals differently, especially because some of David's music already had dark emotional themes. Songs like Romantic Homicide suddenly became difficult for many listeners to hear the same way again. And almost overnight, the case transformed from a criminal investigation into one of the most talked about scandals in modern music culture. As of now, David has denied the allegations and pleaded not guilty. His legal team says the evidence will ultimately prove he was not responsible for the victim's death. But prosecutors continue building the case, and investigators have described the alleged crime as brutal and horrific. The story has also reignited conversations about internet fame itself, because David represented a very modern kind of celebrity, someone who went from recording songs in a closet to global fame almost overnight. And now, his name is attached to allegations so disturbing, many fans still struggle to process them. For some people, the entire case feels unreal, like watching two completely different stories collide. One story about internet success, and another about an alleged crime so gruesome, it sounds like something from a true crime documentary. Just a few years ago, David was seen as one of the internet's most inspiring success stories. A teenager who turned gaming videos into a music career. Now, he faces charges that could potentially put him in prison for the rest of his life if convicted. And while the legal process is still ongoing, the allegations alone have already changed how millions of people view him forever. What do you think about the case? Do you think social media fame can sometimes hide who people really are? Or should people wait until the trial is complete before making judgments? Let me know in the comments. And subscribe for more deep dives into the internet's darkest stories and controversies.